Remember Ronald Reagan talking about Jimmy Carter?
Ronald Reagan used to ask,
are you better off?
Are you better off?
Are you better off?
Are you better off?
But are we better off?
Not whether we're better off, it's whether they're better off.
Are you better off?
Better off.
Better off.
better off?
Better off. Better off.
Better off.
Better off.
Better off.
Better off.
Than you were 4 years ago?
You know, when we first conceived of this series, we had a few particular dates circled on the calendar with a big Sharpie. Today was one of those days. The kind of day where you definitely wouldn't want to be asking the question, but Trump and his people just can't help themselves.
The key question in any election is, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? The obvious answer for all of us is no, we are not better off. Now, if you're an illegal alien, you are better off today.
Well, I don't know, Maria. Let's take a look at how we were doing 4 years ago today, April 23rd, 2020. Full month into the first COVID-19 wave, 2,400 deaths a day. As the nation approached 50,000 total deaths, no vaccine in sight. Some states were opening with Trump's encouragement before they had really flattened the curve, even as we were learning the spread of the virus was much worse than authorities had initially thought. We were nowhere near out of the woods. Listen to the reporting from the evening news 4 years ago on April 23rd, 2020, versus what Donald Trump was saying in his 67-minute press conference.
The death toll still inching upward, now over 48,000. But at the same time, unemployment numbers have risen to numbers worse than the Great Depression.
Dr. Fauci, that we're just not there yet.
No, I don't agree with him on that. No, I think we're doing a great job on testing. I don't agree. If he said that, I don't agree with him.
On March 1st, the CDC confirmed 23 cases in 5 major U.S. cities. But researchers say models suggest the true number of infections was likely 28,000.
We've done a good job. We've gotten very little credit for the great job we've done because of the media, because the media is not an honest media, in my opinion.
Tonight, the family of an FDNY firefighter sharing their loss. Little J. Natalie Lasanta was just 1 week shy of turning 5 months when her family says she passed from complications of the coronavirus.
It is interesting that the states that are in trouble do happen to be blue. It is interesting. You know, if you look around, I mean, the states that seem to have the problem happen to be Democrat. And
New York and New Jersey got hit by this, you know.
But New York and New Jersey were in a lot of trouble long before the plague came. And they were, you know, they had a lot of problems long before the plague came.
Most Americans say the top priority right now should be staying home to slow the spread of the virus.
You're the president, and people tuning into these briefings, they want to get information and guidance and want to know what to do. They're not looking for rumors.
I'm the president, and you're fake news. And you know what I'll say to you? I'll say very nicely, I know you well. I know you well, because I know the guy. I see what he writes. He's a total faker.
That's all beyond insane and enraging. It wasn't even the darkest moment 4 years ago. That came right after William Bryan, who's the head of science and technology at the Department of Homeland Security, gave a lesson on what we know about how the virus survives outside the body.
Increasing the temperature and humidity of potentially contaminated indoor spaces appears to reduce the stability of the virus. And extra care may be warranted for dry environments that do not have exposure to solar light. We're also testing disinfectants, readily available. We've tested bleach. We've tested isopropyl alcohol on the virus, specifically in saliva or in respiratory fluids. And I can tell you that bleach will kill the virus in 5 minutes. Isopropyl alcohol will kill the virus in 30 seconds, and that's with no manipulation.
Useful info, important research. I mean, again, this was not like definitive at that point, but research. And then when William Bryan finished, the President of the United States came back to the lectern and had some ideas of his own.
I would like to thank the President, thank the Vice President for their ongoing support and leadership to the department and for their work in addressing this pandemic. I would also like to thank the scientists, not only in S&T and the NBAC, but to the larger scientific and R&D community. Thank you very much.
Brian. Mr. Brian.
Thank you very much. So I ask Bill a question that probably some of you are thinking of if you're totally into that world, which I find to be very interesting. So supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way, And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting.
Get the right folks who could.
Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me. So we'll see. But the whole concept of the light, the way it kills it in 1 minute, that's pretty powerful.
The president mentioned the idea of cleaners with bleach and isopropyl alcohol. You mentioned there's no scenario that could be injected into a person, is there? I mean,
No, I'm here to talk about the findings that we had in the study. We don't do that within that lab, our labs.
It honestly is so much worse than I remembered. It was thousands of people were dying a day. That was the president of the United States. In the midst of this epic, historic disaster and his big brain ideas that maybe you could combat the coronavirus by shining a bright light inside your various orifices. Or maybe by injecting disinfectant into your body like a cleaning. You can probably guess what happened next.
The maker of Lysol has issued a warning this morning concerned that people may try it. The maker of Lysol is saying we must be clear that under no circumstances should our disinfectant products be administered into the human body through injection, ingestion, or any other route.
Calls to poison control hotlines have skyrocketed across the U.S. as more Americans have questions about using bleach and other disinfectants to keep COVID-19 away. Health officials in Illinois say the calls included people using detergent as sinus rinse and gargling with bleach and mouthwash in an attempt to kill the coronavirus. New York City's Poison Control Center also reporting a higher number of calls in the hours after Trump's comments.
The clownish, reckless, dangerous, incompetent handling of a genuine crisis, the first one he faced, a pandemic that went on to kill 1 million Americans. That's part of the record we can all consider when we ask, sitting here today, whether we are better off today than we were 4 years ago.